Hello, awesome people. I hope you're having a great day today. Today we're taking a look at the next short story in the new Cthulhu Lovecraft Circle. It was published in the mid-90s. This is David Sutton's 8-page work in here. It's called Demoniacal. I'll link you to it in the comments below. I read it for the second time in about 20 minutes or so, which is pretty appropriate for an 8-page short story in an oversized copy like this. So let's go ahead and get started with my review. It's in a Cthulhu Mythos collection, but I don't know that it actually is in the Cthulhu Mythos. It does have a reference to a book, but it's not a book that I'm familiar with, like the Necronomicon or the Book of Eibon, or Narcotic Manuscripts, or anything like that, or the Sprachlet and Colton, or those sorts of things that are regularly talked about. So I don't know that it's actually in the Cthulhu Mythos, even though it's actually in it for you folks. But I definitely enjoyed going back and reading this a second time. I picked up this collection when I was doing a deep dive into Lovecraft and his Cthulhu Mythos, starting when I discovered him in my junior year in college. At the beginning of it, there was three collections of his stuff, of all of his stuff. That was all the big stuff, except for some of his co-writes and edits, and some of his juvenilia. It wasn't published either by Del Rey. I picked it up in my junior year. He very quickly became my favorite author. He's a writer from the Pulp Era, and he created the Cthulhu Mythos by retaining some of the elements from one short story of his to another, which sort of became this big giant work called the Call of Cthulhu in the late 20s, which is where the Cthulhu Mythos gets its name from. And then he started to use works from other people in his writings, like Clark Ashton Smith's Sethagua and stuff from Robert D. Howard. He also and then they also used some of his stuff too, and so a lot of co-authors back and forth would create that and so forth. So it's sort of a shared universe in that sort of a cosmic horror in the pulp era, and it's survived. And lots of people like it, and have been reading it ever since. So anyway, so now we're again looking at David Sutton's Demoniacal. So what do I think about it? Going back and reading this collection for the second time for this channel, for my month of October that I dedicate to the Cthulhu Mythos. Well, I liked it the second time, so let's go ahead and get started as to why. As a reminder, I keep my review spoiler free, so we won't be doing a deep spoiler-based, dive into it, like the ending and stuff like that. So I'll only be looking at the first couple of pages rather, of this 8-page short story, rather than a deep dive just to get your feet wet and what you would learn from it in just a couple of seconds. So what's happening is that we have two main characters, point of view characters. They're living a few decades ago, and during an era of experimental rock, and there was a Birmingham band that the first character who's talking about, and they have just released an album that has hit very, very popular stuff, but they've done some dark stuff. They have a song on that album called Demoniacal, which quotes words from an ancient work to summon a demon, which is where it gets its title from. As a part of the thing, and they did the research in it, and so forth. And the other character who's being told this is a cultist, and so forth, and he doesn't like what's happening, and so forth. And so the two of them will do a deep dive into what's happening, and so forth. So there you are. That's sort of the sort of central programs. I like it. I think it's a little different. The idea of an album having these dark summoning things in it and so forth is fun and interesting. It also feels a lot like the 80s when they thought that all this stuff was evil and so forth, and you turned it backwards and it was like satanic and so forth. So it sort of plays into that sort of thing, I think, in a fun way. And so forth. Again, there is a book that's referenced that you do some research in. Also, the place where they say the spells come from the occultist. But that book, I don't recognize it from other books, from my deep dive into Cthulhu Mythos. It might be, it might not be. I just don't know. I'm saying, I'll go ahead and leave you to it. So I liked it. I thought it was fun. It's fast, but it doesn't really hold you for very long. But it doesn't need to, because it's only like a 20-minute read. And I would say it's just the right length and so forth. So I'm probably going to be giving this like a 7.5 out of 10, because I like David Sutton's Demoniacal for you folks. So there you go. I'll go ahead and leave it to you. Have you read it? If so, what did you think about it? Let's talk about it in the comments below, or the ending or the spoilers. We can talk if you agree or disagree with my 7.5 out of 10. Let's talk about that too. As a reminder, the channel's name is The Worst Thing About New Books, which is a quote by French philosopher Jacques Joubert, who said that the worst thing about new books was that they kept us from reading the old ones. And so works like this that were published a while ago, a few decades ago, are definitely a key part of this channel where I get my passion from. So there you are. I'll go ahead and leave you to it. If you enjoyed this, why not? Hit that subscribe button. because we're going to have many more of these to follow. And then finally, I just want to thank you so much for taking some time out of your day and investing in watching my video. We all have so many things that are happening in our lives, and we're pulled in so many different actions. So the fact that you spent this time with me is incredibly humbling, and I appreciate it. So thanks again, and have an amazing day.